What the? Hello, welcome back to this. Weird that it restarted again. Welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. Doesn't normally do that. Normally runs out. Maybe I should extend the footage. I'll work on that. I'll work on that before next season. Holly, how are you doing? What's going on? How's your week been? How's things? Lots to talk about this week. Quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there is lots to talk about this week. Go ahead. Sorry.
You were no. How you doing? What have you been up to? What's going on? No, that was it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a very interesting week. I am very, very busy in my gaming life right now because I got well, I got Crimson Desert, which I started playing last night. But then I also right now have a play test for a multiplayer game. Can't talk exactly about it. That's open only for this weekend, so I need to hop into that for a little bit. And then I also got invited to a full game play test for a game that I've been really, really, really excited for. As a play tester for bugs and story beats, just all kinds of general feedback about every little part of it. And so I need to, really buckle down and get through that as best as I can. So I got all that going on. And then also I finished Resident Evil, and I also got, I still play Arc Raiders so much because I really love Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is my new Call of Duty. And Toxic Commando. John Carpenter's Toxic Commandos came out last week. And so
right.
That's another game that I was excited for. So busy gaming week.
Have you played Toxic Commando?
Not yet, but I'm supposed to play with a squad tomorrow night. So that will probably be my real first into it. Really, I've the one of the things about that game is that it's John Carpenter, who's just super cool, right? But then it's made by Saber, which also, for me, I feel like Saber's really cool and they do a lot of niche, cool, fun things. And also the band that did the soundtrack for this game is my favorite band. So that's just another really cool tie-in for me. They did a video for the lead song and all that stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, it's sitting at an average 72 at the moment.
Yeah. I watched a lot of the reviews. I was kind of hesitant about buying it, but whatever, right? And as we learn, not every game that has a high score or not every game that's highly rated doesn't mean that it's not a fun game, right? There are popcorn games, there are fun popcorn games, and then there are just games that are inherently so bad they're fun, and and then there's just squad games that playing with your friends makes it a more fun game than it just is, right? So I think this game probably kind of leans into all of those, where it's probably not a highly rated game. It's probably not, super high quality, etc. But it doesn't mean it's not fun. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of interested. But so for my week is I started playing Cyberpunk again. I think I'm pretty close to the part that I got to when I first played it. It's such a struggle. It's such a struggle. I mean, also I was on the Series S. The TV is.
I thought you were going to play it on the PC.
Well, I mean, it's on Game Pass, so I thought I'd get it started, right? And then I can it's play anywhere. It's cross progression, so I can just jump on the PC once that's done. But the PC, there's a bit of a story behind that. But I thought I'd just get it started and at least get to where I was. But one of the things that I realized that bugged me was you have to drive in first person. And I absolutely hate that. And I can't see anything. And I keep running into stuff.
There's ways to drive in other. I definitely drove in third person.
Right? Yeah, that's what I thought. But like I couldn't get it to do it. And then I asked AI, and AI was like, no, it's all first person. So maybe I'll have a look at the settings and play around a bit more. But also it was on a small thing, and yeah, I
See, you're half-assing the game because you don't want to give it its proper due.
I am struggling. It is such it's what happened last time. I was like, yeah, I'll play this for about almost like, nah, this is just not. Actually, I know I literally said it to a guy at work because I have a couple of fellow geeks now that I can actually talk to at work. And all of them are like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. The game is, there's something wrong with the game.
Fuzzy Tomato says you can definitely drive in third person. So it's not just me that says that. You're just doing
I need to fix that. And then as well, like, so the TV's small. It's further away than it should be for the size of the TV. So like, it's like a 32-inch or something, like screen. And I'm, a good 4 meters back, I guess.
You are not
so it's like, I can't see it.
You are not giving this game the chance that it deserves. You're just like scruffing and roughing it because you don't want to like it and you already have a preset disposition. So you're like, let me use the worst possible scenario and worst possible setup just to burn through it as fast as I can because I don't want to play it anyway. See, that's what's happening.
The burn through it part's like probably true because I was like, well, I finished Resident Evil. Oh my God, we'll talk about that in a minute. But oh my God, that game was just like the way to do fan service. Just the way to do it. But
Monad says press right on the D-pad to drive in third person.
Right okay, I'll give that a crack. Right on the D-pad. All right, I'll give that a crack because I did press everything on the D-pad. I did not subconsciously block myself, Thatch, from driving third person. But I couldn't see. This is the thing. I pressed all the buttons, and I literally got stuck on the sidewalk. Couldn't go backwards and forwards. And I was just getting more and more frustrated. I literally pressed every button trying to figure out how to get the thing in the third. And I'm like, I cannot see where I'm going, and I want to drive myself. So then I just started. I'm like, all right, screw it. I'll just auto drive everywhere until I can, until I get home. But I only played, like, I literally only played probably 2 or 3 days, and then like an hour block, 2 hour block. So I'm just trying to get to where I was. So when you meet the first guy, the guy with the dreads, he gives you the first mission, and you've got to go do, they're like, oh, this is our guy. Yeah. So I got to that, and I did that first mission when I played it last time. So I need to just do that. But I've got to that guy. We've had the conversation. And then I'll do I'll do the shooting in the first mission on my big screen with my Series X and the whole bit. That'll be tonight.
Okay, so first of all, BT Maverick says he doesn't think that Cyberpunk is Play Anywhere. You can have cross progression to Steam, he says.
Yeah, but it'll be it'll be I'll be able to play it through Game Pass.
He doesn't think it's in Game Pass PC. I'll look since I'm sitting here. But the thing is, Cyberpunk is a beautiful game. So like you really need to give it like a really nice TV or a good monitor with a good it's a gorgeous, gorgeous game. And I hope that you don't burn and churn through too much of it before you get it on a proper setting, an actual give it its due and let it shine.
No, it'll be tonight. So yeah, like I said, it's tonight. So I'll play it as much as I can in the next couple of days. But I'm traveling again because we're going on a holiday to what you guys call Bali, but it's actually Bali. So we're traveling to Bali. And then I'll have the Series S again, which I will take, but I probably won't play. So I'll probably get like Toxic Commando or something, just play that instead, or something sort of chill while I'm over there. But it's tough because this Crimson Desert just came out, so obviously I want to play that. There's a whole bunch of stuff I got to play, but I have to get through this absolute trash before I get there because I said I would. And I did finish up Resident Evil. Oh my God, so good. And I need that now. I now need to go back and also play that again, like go through it again, because there is a decision that needs to be made, and I want to see how the other decision pans out. I might just go back to previous save and then see how that decision pans out. I get the feeling it'll pan out the same way, like same way-ish.
It doesn't.
Oh, okay, interesting. Very interesting.
But it's the very only one is canon though, like clearly canon.
I think I picked the canon one. Like I'm pretty sure because it was pretty fleshed out. I'm like, oh, and it seemed like it's the wrong decision. It seemed like it's the right decision.
Yeah, it was confusing, right? You're like, well,
yeah.
Wait, what does that mean? Like, because you think it means the other thing, but yeah.
Yep. And then it also
Without
goes
spoilers.
the other way for sort of how you expect it's going to go. I didn't expect it to go the way it went, and it went anyway. It was good. I was like, awesome, awesome, loved it. Want to go back and play it again. And I also didn't get all the achievements. And when a game is that good, like I only very rarely will go back through AAA games and get all the achievements. And I usually do that when I really love the game. I did it with Star Wars Survivor, and the one before as well. Got all the achievements because they're just so good. Cyberpunk is not in Game Pass at the moment.
It is. It is in Game Pass. Well, at least for
us. He probably means PC. He means PC Game Pass.
I'm on PC.
It's in PC?
Yeah, Game Pass. Looks like it.
Yeah, it's definitely in Game Pass. That's where I'm playing it because I didn't want to buy that trash. No, I would have bought it. I would have bought it.
Oh, it's only on cloud. Wait, sorry. It's only on cloud on PC.
Only on cloud on PC. Okay, well, I'm definitely not doing that. So the thing is with my PC, right? The other reason I started playing it is because there's too much coming out. I need to get through this game to get to the next games. I don't like to play I don't like to play Crimson Desert and Cyberpunk at the same time. I like to focus in on one game. And the thing is with Crimson Desert, which we'll get into, is the control scheme is difficult to learn. So you want to have your muscle memory and that sort of stuff. So I've got to play Cyberpunk first. I can just get through that. What?
As Monad said, you do not have the time for Crimson Desert. 110%. You don't have the time.
Yeah, I don't, but I'm still going to buy it and play it. And see what it's like. You know what I mean? I doubt I'll finish that game. And if I do, it'll be me burning through the guts of the game to get to the end. Yeah, it's time is a common issue, is a common theme through my life that I lack. But the PC, I have everything. I literally have everything. So I have from the case to the power supply to the GPU to the everything. I have everything. It's there. It just needs to be built. And I'm doing an assisted build just because of the cost of the PC. I was going to build it myself, on my own without any assistance. But I found a place that does what you call assisted build. So I will build it, and they will be over my shoulder, sort of telling me what to do. And then so I just need to sort of book in that time to go do it. Because I don't really want to mess around with a $15,000 PC and get it wrong. Realistically, I'm not going to damage every part in the thing, and then but I may have to spend another $1,000 on something if I damage it, so I don't want to do that. So I'm doing an assisted build. That seems safer, seems smarter. I've still built it myself, but I've got someone sort of teaching me what to do as I go. And I really wanted to build it myself. I don't know. I just feel like that's an experience. First PC I've ever really bought, so I just feel like I want to go through the whole experience. I don't want to be a tourist like Gaz. I want to be genuinely into my PC. I say all that to say that I definitely won't have finished Cyberpunk by the time I've got the PC built. And I'm pretty sure it's like I know you said it's not cross progression on Game Pass, guys, but I'm pretty sure it is on Windows. So if you have the Windows version, Xbox version, I think they cross progress.
There's no Fuzzy
I
Tomato says you can't buy Cyberpunk on Xbox PC store. That's why it isn't on PC Game Pass. But Steam is having their spring sale, and it is 65% off right now. $20.
Oh well, I'll buy it. That's fine. But I will never play on Steam because I'm still a console purist. So unfortunately, I won't be able to finish Cyberpunk. Well, I mean, when Steam releases on the Xbox, that's fine. I'm allowed to. You've got to get into the mindset, right? You've got to work with the justifications. of being a console purist. I'm still a console purist. With just a monster PC. Yeah, so RSJ fan says she got it on GOG. So
that's another way. But just right now,
that is,
Steam is having their spring sale. That's why I was looking.
Yeah, you can pick it up pretty cheap. And it was also on Epic for cheap as well. I've started collecting the Epic free games. But I feel like I've missed the boat on all the good ones.
Can't play those either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, with the Epics on the console, then I'm still console purist. And anyway, I'll look one way or another. I'll get it. I'll have a look at this after because I didn't even think. I just figured you could cross progress. I'll have a look and see if you can cross progress. If you can't, I'll get Crimson Desert and then I'll play that until I've got the PC built, and then I'll jump into Cyberpunk and do that start bit again. I did spend an unusually long time on customizing my genitals. Really appreciate that part of the character customization. So yeah, I mean that is one
part. Did you look at the lady customization?
No, I'm gonna have to do that. Did they get out of control? I hope they get out of control. I would just make my character look like they're gonna fall over after every step. Which I'd say most guys would. Anyway, let's not get too deep into that.
Too late.
There's one. So yeah, PC, Cyberpunk, finished Resident Evil, loved it. I guess we should jump on the first topic. Stream Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I won't get too engaged. I don't feel, I guess we should jump into the first topic of the week, which is really, really interesting because it was not my first reaction. I guess I am different to other gamers. If you guys haven't noticed that in the chat, in all the time that you spent with me, I guess you haven't been paying attention. But I am a little bit different to other gamers. I always seem to land on a different opinion, and it's not on purpose. It's just how my brain works. So I apologize. Hit the like button, guys. Share us out. What do you mean I have to compensate with my character? For my looks? Because I look amazing. There's not many men that can look how I look. So I guess we'll start with the DLSS 5 upsets the community. I was really surprised at the reaction to this. I've since watched a whole lot of stuff. I watched Digital Foundry stuff and and Digital Foundry was super excited. I was super excited. I guess I wasn't so my thing was I wasn't like, well, this is going to be final product and everything's going to look like this. And this is just the showcase. That's what I thought is this is just the showcase of what it can do. And there's a lot to it in the background. How customizable is it? What can the developers do with it? It's not something that you implement on your side. It's something they implement on their side. And then it's an option for you to turn on and off. It's the developers implementing their version of what they want. But the developers obviously did not implement the showcase versions. That was NVIDIA trying to do their shit, showing off what the tech can do. Its first iteration. It did look a little AI-ish. There's no doubt there. But then I don't think AI looks absolutely terrible. I didn't understand the reaction personally. But there's been a lot. There's a couple of, and there's been a few directly from developers. So one developer said, excuse the language, says with DLSS 5, fuck NVIDIA and fuck these ghouls. I'm like, that is a hell of a reaction from a developer. DLSS 5 basically sucks the personality out of any artistic choice the devs have made by making average out guesses of what it thinks it should look like. That's a former AAA developer. And then someone else has said, thank fucking God I make 2D games. If I have to make 3D games, I'm writing a software renderer. Fucking video and fuck these ghouls. This is a lot, not to say anything, this is a lot of blue sky comments. This is so disrespectful to the intentional art direction of devs. If devs wanted to lean into hyperrealism, they would. I don't think some developers have the capacity to do that, but just like resources, skill level, etc. If devs wanted to lean into hyperrealism, they could. This also drastically changes key aspects of visuals. This is the thing, right? Because I didn't look too deep at it. Key aspects of visuals like character features, focal points, lighting is like lighting and so on. It's like that's exactly what the engine does. It ups the lighting game, right? And it's obviously doing a few other things that they had not mentioned. What a terrible invention. NVIDIA should shelve this one. No! I'm really interested to find out what everyone thinks in the chat, by the way. And if you're on Twitter or wherever you are in Twitch, send through a comment like about what you think about NVIDIA AI, because I am I was a little bit floored by the what I would characterize as a serious overreaction. Like, I don't think that any need for the reaction that we have gotten to this, and I'm actually a little bit concerned they're going to take this away. And I'm hoping that they don't. And there's been a lot of funny memes, very interesting funny memes, and I have to the. Am I saying that right? Meme. Yeah, there's been a lot of funny memes, and and I respect the meme game because it has been solid, like solid, and you can always rely on the video game community to like absolutely smash the meme. I think they're probably one of the best communities for memes like that has ever existed. So thank you, gaming community, for all the entertainment. Holly, I'll jump to you, but I mean, obviously there's some things going on in the background here where it is changing key aspects of, like, extending someone's nostril because it's made a mistake about shadowing. I saw that one, adding sideburns to one of the characters in Starfield, adding makeup to Grace in, oh, there goes my bloody camera again. Really can't wait to build this PC, people. It's obviously making some changes. I don't think that I don't think they're egregious, and they're also, to me, if it's controlled by the developer, then it's going to be the developer's vision and how far they want to take it, right? So yeah, what was your take? Because I haven't had a chance to speak to any of the crew about like what they're sort of thinking about this, but I was super excited. I'm like, the future is here. Hell yeah, let's go. And everyone was like, meh. So Holly?
Well, it is the internet. So there's going to be a lot of opinion one way or the other. And it's a very, in reality, right, this is a very small minority of people that you're seeing that are so vocal. The other issue is that you're using AI for this, right? And for some reason, everybody is so against, not everybody, but like a good, very vocal section of the internet is extremely against AI. And I mean, I understand to a degree, especially, if you are in one of the careers where AI is probably first going to impact you, then I do see that, and I obviously sympathize with that, but like, it's not something that's going away. It's not something that people are just going to say, you know what, never mind, humanity doesn't need this. It's just not, right? It's like we've talked about in the past, like it's the next major technological advancement that we are going to see in our lifetimes, right? Like, this is probably the equivalent of like what the internet was when it first took off. And I said a lot of this on Fonz Tuesday, so forgive me if you've heard this before, but like it's kind of in like dial-up mode right now is what I told Fonz. It's so new, and like what you're seeing is two 5090s doing this static on these, right? So this is not technology that is ready to go in your Helix or like the very next thing that's coming out, right? This is very, very aggressive tech. It's going to take a long time to get right, to have it work on moving models. It's going to take a massive amount of compute. So it's just not something that, you know, is something that we have. And right now, at a minimum, you need a 50 series card to even try to have this thing. And it's not coming out till this fall. So we'll see what happens. I thought it looked really cool. I mean, there's some things that it didn't get right, but there were a lot of things that I think that it added to it. Particularly, at least for me, I thought it did a really good job with Starfield. I was slightly disappointed in the character models with Starfield when it first came out. I thought with the new creation engine, you know, there was going to be more detail, etc. And that's just sort of Bethesda too as well. But what this did to those Starfield models, I thought was really incredible. I just feel like, you know, people just want to hate. There's a very loud vocal minority who always hates the next best thing, or they always are outraged about things. And in reality, we don't even know how this is going to be used, who is choosing to use it, because it's a choice. The one thing, though, that did come out, I guess, is that it seemed like something that the developers chose to use, but and could turn it on or off or manipulate it or whatever the case may be. But I think it has come out since then, because I saw Fonz and Alex going at it, and apparently the devs don't necessarily have as much control over how it changes the model as initially thought. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of resistance to new technology every time there's new technology, and we're going through it. And there's going to be a lot of heartburn, and there's going to be a lot of shifting in a lot of ways for people, for their jobs, for the way they do their jobs. I don't know. There's just huge thing we don't know yet, right? And this is just one tiny little subsect of what all AI is actually doing, right? Like, this is just a teeny tiny tiddly little thing in the world of AI. It's just that this is impacting our fun time, right? So I just question the people being upset about it, if it's about AI on the whole, or if it's about this actual use of the technology, period. Know what I mean? Like, is it really truly about this, or is it just about the concerns about AI on the whole?
That's what that to me is what it is about. But like, we should celebrate the things that AI is doing well, instead of this low resolution, excuse the pun, it's just low resolution thinking, in my view, is not being able to see the forest for the trees, which happens so often in every single conversation that's through a wider community. It happens in politics, happens in with this. It's just complete low resolution thinking where there's no nuance, or two things can be true at once, or understanding of that nuance that exists. And to me, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, there is obviously going to be benefits. So you were saying developers, this will affect developer pipelines, is sort of roughly, I think, what you were getting at. But when you think about it, developers will now be able to, if you've got an indie developer, they'll be able to bring their character models up to a point. They'll be able to do geometry of faces, and they'll be able to do, they won't have to do motion capture, and then they should be able to, bring that, like Starfield, like you said with Starfield. Realistically, I feel like those character models were terrible. They can bring them to a point. They can play with the tech, and they can upscale, the resolution, the look, the feel of those individual characters, the lip syncing, all that sort of stuff can then be done with AI. That's this is the thing, the pushing back against, the raging against the machine on this is not going to change the fact that it's there. You know, and if they reel back this now a little bit, it's just going to come in increment. Well, if they do, they're going to. This is the thing. That's what I'm saying. If they reel it back, and I wonder if they maybe they'll pitch it a different way and make some changes, right? But and if they do that, all that's going to happen is it'll come out incrementally. They'll just like, oh, we went too far, too quick, and now we're just going to slowly roll it out, right? And and that's all that happens. Like TV. That happened with TV. They were like, oh, we said too much, too quick, and the next minute, every console is doing, you know, Netflix, Prime, like it's got all that stuff, you know, and they even removed some of the features that were great, like Snap. But I digress. Also, what's really sort of bothered me about let you jump in on that because you've got something on that. So, and then I'll jump to the other one I was going to say.
Well, all I was going to say was one of the things that I do hope that they find a way to do better is that I think that if they have this capacity or this capability to do this thing, and I really hope that they find a way to have more control by the developers themselves on how it directly impacts their own product, as opposed to it just being this AI model that just kicks in and does its thing, and they don't, you know what I mean? They don't necessarily have quite the control on how it's used, or, you know, if it's got ways to work better in lighting situations, but have a little less impact on something else, right? Like those types of things. I would hope that they could find a way to make it a tool for developers to use in the way that they want on their game, and not just have it an on-off switch and there's no in between. And the other thing that Fonz brought up, I thought was a good point, was he said he was worried about it more so because he was worried that it would make developers a little more, or artists, etc., a little more lenient on the tech and get quote unquote lazy about the art or the you know, the work behind it, and count on the AI to pick up the slack. And I thought that was a good point.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, it is a good. Well, I actually don't think it's a good point. Sorry, Fonz, if you're out there. I would disagree. I would disagree with that, and because that's just not how corporate. It doesn't work. The budgets. I'll come back to that. Right. I'll come back to that because there was something else that you said there that I think was really interesting. I want to touch on, and then I'll come back to it. So the thing is, I think you're only going to have a limited amount of control for developers. And the reason being is because when you train an AI, regardless of its large language model or whatever it is, you're feeding it data, right? So it's going to learn it's machine learning, and it operates autonomously. You know, obviously there is some changes. There is some guidelines, guide rails you can set for it to make changes, right? But it's going to operate autonomously, and it's only going to operate from the data that you fed it. Now, what I've found out, or watching a lot of videos about it, is it's not just pulling from game data. So it's not actually running in the game, and then it's just pulling the game data and then making decisions based on that. It's pulling from outside data, and I don't think you could do this without doing that. It needs to have training first. You can't just put it in a game and then it learns the game and then makes its decisions and changes some geometry and fixes the lighting. It's not possible, right? You've got to give it data about how lighting works. You've got to give it data about how people look. You've got to give it data about how, you know, how faces move. You've got to give it all that data so it understands like lighting and you know, geometry and all that sort of stuff. So that stuff has to be pulled from the outside. And so you are going to have ghosts in the machine where it makes decisions that are wrong. Like AI is not perfect yet. And it will make decisions that are incorrect, like extending someone's nostril instead of making it a shadow. I don't think that that's a horrible, egregious thing. So I think it's going to be limited as to what developers can do. And I sort of see it being like a, you know, it's, you know, you have it at 20%, 30%, 50%, or 60%, you know what I mean? Like you do with a vibrancy slider or a, you know, or a softening slider or whatever it is. Slider. I feel like it's going to be very sliderish. And And maybe as time goes on, NVIDIA can work on being able to add specific training packages into the AI for each developer so that they can actually make some real meaningful changes about what the DLSS 5 AI does with their character models. But at the moment, I don't see it quickly changing to give developers as much agency as we would like them to have.
Well, it makes sense too, though, that you would need, I mean, inherently you would need different models anyway, because I mean, look at the scale of, or look at the breadth of the art styles alone, right, in video games. You can't do the same thing in Metaphor ReFantazio as you do in Indiana Jones, right? Like, it's just not, they're completely different games. So how does that work? You know, it's going to have its own modeling scheme for this, right? Or maybe like you're talking about like sliders or something, but like to just have a blanket program and then turn it up a little bit or turn it up a lot depending on your art style doesn't really seem like the way that would work either. You know,
be really good if you could turn off, because it obviously, like they said, it works mostly on lighting, and then but it clearly tidies up the image to what it thinks the image should look like. It clearly does that. Like, it's not they didn't say it did that at the beginning, and Digital Foundry, which I'll get onto in a minute, Digital Foundry didn't sort of spot that in their initial discussion around that. But it does, obviously, you stick something in front of the gaming community and it will get scrutinized, and that's exactly what happened. So, and people were finding inconsistencies, sideburns being added, you know, nostrils extended, as I've mentioned a few times. So, like, if that could be dialed down, hey, like, you know, we don't want you to change the actual geometry or change the image itself. We just want you to dial up the lighting a little bit, make it more realistic. You know, don't add you know, filters, remove the filters for adding texture and stuff like that. But the thing is, it has to assume that texture if that texture doesn't exist. So, you know, when you look at Starfield, it's very flat, and that texture just didn't exist really for a lot of the character models. So, you know, it is assuming that texture. In faces, I'm saying. Actually, I think that if you look at the jacket that Sarah was wearing, I think it's Sarah, that Sarah's wearing, that red sort of burgundy jacket, it did have some texturing. And it made a good assumption about what that texture would look like, you know. So I think it's been really, really good for environments, just bringing them up to the next level. I'm actually super excited about that. In regards to Fonz's comment, and me and Fonz often disagree. I don't know. I do love Fonz though. I do love that he says what he thinks and means what he says, and that's always been, I think, that's always his integrity is, I think, second to none, and that's what I love about Fonz. Even though I think that he's wrong often. But love you, Fonz, if you're out there. I think the lazy thing is so, like, corporations will have a budget for projects, and that's what a game is. A game is a project of a developer. And it doesn't work, obviously, the same in every single company, but generally with larger companies and AAA developers, you will have a budget for what you think you need. And it's very rare that those budgets get smaller and smaller over time. They generally tend to have creep, right? And I feel like that this will not be taken into account initially right now anyway, until we see what this sort of tech can do for developers. You know, they're going to have this budget that they're given. It's 300 million. And then how you use that budget, same as any project. Like, you're always trying to save money. If you can come under budget, that's great. But if you hit the budget, and more often than not, you know, corporations will tell you to use the budget because they don't want you to come under budget, because the next time that you go for a budget, it will be less, right? Because it's like, well, you save money here this time, so this time we'll give you 297 million. And that's sort of the games that you play within corporations. And what I'm saying here is that if with a set amount of resources, you could say finite or whatever, but with a specific budget, if you're not using those resources in character modeling, then you're going to use them somewhere else. Like, now, whether they smartly use those resources or not is a totally different discussion and feeds into it. But I think it just frees up more resources for other sections, other departments within the game. You know, so maybe your level design, or your animators, or whatever it may be, they're going to be able to have some, your character modelers are going to be able to get, like I said, get these models to a point and then go, cool, DLSS will do the rest. We don't need to spend another 6 months polishing this up. We're good. It looks good with DLSS. Let's move over to focusing on this part of the game. Or it may shorten development times, but again, I doubt that. Generally, you'll get creep. You won't get, it's what we've seen. You won't get things getting quicker or et cetera, et cetera. They'll find a way to spend the money is what I'm saying. Trust me. So yeah, I don't think it's going to allow developers to get lazy. So I think that that's a lazy review of what may happen. Sorry, Fonz will be like, you risk it. Yeah, and I guess the other thing I sort of wanted to touch on was like watching Digital Foundry's like initial, and I also watch Kind of Funny, and I very rarely am super critical in a harsh way around media outlets. Maybe I become a little bit more so, but to watch Digital Foundry come out with an initial reaction of excitement and then to seemingly change, like, they very basically said, hey, had we known the community was not going to like this, we wouldn't have been excited about it. That is just a shit way to be, in my opinion. I think it lacks integrity. I feel like you can be excited about, God damn you, camera. You can be excited about something as well as seeing the flaws I mean, they were getting death threats apparently, which is obviously how crazy this has gotten. But then I watched a lot of the other media, and I feel like the media just generally like to see which way the wind is blowing and don't have an opinion of their own. And they're like, oh, the wind is blowing this way. And again, we see this in politics. We see it everywhere. The wind is blowing this way. Let us lean into this instead of having an opinion of your own. And I feel like it just completely lacks integrity. And I was a bit disappointed in Digital Foundry because, for all the flack that they cop, I've always thought of them as a very impartial, fair, and a lot of people are going to disagree. A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but impartial, fair, and reasonable sort of outlet that gives you the mostly the facts instead of something tarnished with a predisposed, pre-thought out disposition. So it was a bit disappointing. And then watching like Kind of Funny come out and be like, I hate this. This is crap. It's just slop and blah, blah, blah. Instead of the, don't worry about coming back off camera. We've seen enough. Fuck you. Solid. I like that. Instead of waiting, right? So I'm not doubling down on like, I think it's exciting what they've done. Like you can see some possibilities and things going very well for this. And you can see that there's some flaws in the system, right? So, I don't think that, and serve again, like, just and the best AI art direction goes to it's not that, right? It's these developers will become skillful with the tech that they have. And then they'll start to create character modeling and geometry that suits the tech that they have, you know what I mean? And then people will become artful and skillful using that tech, whether that's AI or whatever it is. And the thing is, in regards to your games, I would say to you, don't play games anymore if that's how you feel, because quite simply, there's a massive amount of AI and has been for a very long time within games. Procedural generation is AI. Machine learning is AI. Path tracing, ray tracing, the DLSS that gives you the extra frames. All of that is AI. So yeah, there's a limit, I think, and there's a discussion to be had around like, is this taking away from the artist and the original vision? And I guess that comes back to what you were saying, Holly, like, does that give them the agency over like DLSS 5 to or agency over DLSS 5 to make the changes to actually commit their original vision to the screen or to the console or whatever it is. Yeah, I just don't think this complete overreaction is helpful. And I think the media backing it and feeding into it is stupid. You know, and I think you can have a more nuanced conversation about what this means for the industry going forward, instead of just being a knob. I think I watched. I can't remember who the guy that is with the glasses on Kind of Funny, but I was just like, and blessing. I'm like, guys, like, why don't you just throw some knee pads on, right? Drop down to your knees and like ask the community to shut. I'm not going to finish that thing, but like, stop having the opinion of the community and have an opinion of your own. It was disappointing to see. I was disappointed in Digital Foundry. You disagree, Ali?
I was disappointed that Digital Foundry recanted, right? And more, I guess I don't know everything that happened that first day, but I know that Digital Foundry came out and talked about they were excited about it, and you know, it's new tech, right? And if you are in the tech world, I think new tech is exciting, right? So I think they were excited by the potential of where this is going. This is like by far not anywhere near, you know, where it's going to be continuously, right? This is just a step along the way. And you're really starting to see, you know, how things are picking up. So what I heard or saw on Twitter was some reposts from John Linneman expressing extreme displeasure on Blue Sky about the video that his colleagues made from Digital Foundry, because he just hates AI, period, full stop. And I think he was just disappointed that they made the video, and I'm not sure he even knew that they were making it, but I don't know how Digital Foundry works enough to know, you know, like how the assignments go and all of that stuff. But what I do think is that this does hurt their credibility in general, just because they are sort of known as like the absolute tech experts, and you might not necessarily like their opinion on things, but they, for the most part, you know, do try to come from the technical side without without as much impartiality as you can towards whatever it may be, right? The developer, the hardware maker, whatever it is. And so for them to come out and give an opinion and then come out the next day with a video recanting it, simply because I'm much like you, right? Like, death threats are entirely unacceptable, and you don't bow to, you know, aggressive behavior, right? And also, you shouldn't be ashamed of your opinion. If that was genuinely your opinion, so be it, you know? Like, we live in a world where it's just people don't let other people have their opinions and say, okay, mate, I don't agree with you, but that's you, this is me, we'll move on, right? Like, or you go your way, I go mine, no big, no harm, no foul. We live in this world of very aggressive pushing of ideas and people not being okay with somebody else having a differing opinion. So that's not okay. That's just not okay.
No.
That's not how the world should work, period. So it's unfortunate that they felt that they had to come back and make this statement, just because if they had come back and said, you know, a week later, we went back and we reviewed this and we still like it, but we found some more flaws based on a closer analysis, given what we heard from the community, we thought it would be a fair review process to go back and see. We would slightly change our review based on this and this and this. I think everybody would have understood that. Or just kept your mouth shut and move on to the next thing, right? Which is usually the best way to go about things. But I don't know. I feel like AI is kind of like how politics go right now. You're either completely in this camp or you're completely in that camp, and they tend to follow certain lines, and there's no like middle ground or optimism or skepticism, whichever side of it that you're on, right? Like there should be some healthy thought and debate about how it can be good for you, how it can be bad for you, and how we integrate those two things, or at least try to combat those two things together to make sure that it can progress and move us forward as a society through the positive methods of the technology and try to limit the bad things that come with that. So,
yeah. I just to serve in the chat. Digital Foundry stated that they received death threats in their follow-up video about AI. And when it comes to things like that, there's no reason for people to lie. And did they report it to the police? I've had death threats. I've had threats to my daughters. And I didn't report it to the police because the police really don't do anything, to be honest with you. So and there's usually not a whole lot they can do or want to do, unless they're extremely credible. That doesn't mean it is a bit ridiculous, and it does happen. And yes, Serve, I still have those threats, and I could display them publicly, but I just don't see the point. And I've had them on Xbox, and I've had them on Twitter, and when Digital Foundry says, yeah, we received death threats and that's not acceptable, I believe that, because I've had them. So it wouldn't surprise me, It is definitely taking it one too far. Monad said something in the chat that was quite interesting. Shout out to Monad. Won't see much of him this week, unfortunately, because I'm going to, I've got training, and then I'm going to Bali. But he said what we need to be worried about is that NVIDIA is if NVIDIA tries to turn this into a monthly subscription. Which, God damn you, camera. Which I think is like credible. There would have been a time where I would have been like, nah, that no one's going to try and do that. And I'm like, well, we live in the age of subscriptions at the moment. You will own nothing and be happy. This is the thing, though. As long as the option is always there to buy, and own. So that's actually it could happen. Like if it did, that would be absolutely egregious. Yeah, BT says I send Riskit threats all the time, and take back that biscuits cookies or else. No, they are biscuits are cookies, right? You guys co-opted the word because you guys didn't exist before English. So like you don't get to just change it.
We were a country before you were.
Yeah, but we use the Queen's English. The King's English now. He owns it. You guys use up this really weird. Thatch. If only I was using a Mac. Oh wait. Yeah, 100%. This is why I have these problems. Generally, I'm so sick of Mac. I defended Mac for such a long time, but I'm sorry, Mac. You are absolute trash. Right? Who releases a laptop that can't hook up to more than one screen unless you get like some weird program that has to be an early access? It's just ridiculous. Mac is ridiculous. And them trying to get into gaming is absolutely ridiculous. And their phones are amazing. So everyone shut up.
Serve has closed the conversation.
Right? But it's an American invention. That doesn't prove nothing.
Bet your kids know the Cookie Monster.
No, they know the Biscuit Monster. It's actually called the Biscuit Monster
Turn
over
on
here.
Your camera so we can watch you lie to our face.
Yeah, I blame Mac. EVMux is fine. It just needs to. I look at once I get the PC going, I'll have a look at EVMux as well. I'll get everything sorted and start playing with stuff on the PC again. Whereas at the moment, I've got so many HDMI switches, so many different little switches I've got to press to get things going, so many plugs I've got to plug in, so many cords I have to have, a dock, a this, a that. It's ridiculous. I should show you a photo. I should take a photo of behind my screens, and you would be like, how the hell does he manage that? And I don't know either. So I guess conclusion is, for DLSS, is let's wait and see what they do with it. Like, it could end up being egregious. And when it is, what will happen is if the community generally agrees, we will boycott it. That's what happens. And then if the community does not does like what's happening, that they will buy. And that's how these things get sorted out. Usually the market will predict. Not always with video game companies, because quite often they ignore the market. They go, this will be a great idea, and they just do something really weird and stupid. Often, actually. Often. So disregard everything I just said. That's pretty much... The market does not dictate what gaming companies do. Holly, you got anything you want to sort of like round up on that? We'll move on to the next topic.
Nah.
Nah.
Nope. Nah.
So far in the chat, just before we move on, I just want to sort of know like our community's sort of feeling on where we're at. So if you were pretty excited about what DLSS 5 can do, let's not. This is not about what it's done so far because we haven't seen it. But yes, if you're excited about what that tech can do, and a no if you don't want that kind of tech in gaming. I'm very curious. So a Y or an N, I'm curious. I want to see what everyone thinks. And we'll jump into the next topic, which is Crimson. Yeah, Monad, I'm with you, bud. I'm with you. Can't wait. My 5090 is going to crush it. And if it doesn't work, I'll just buy a second 5090, right? Run it exactly like the developers did. So Crimson Desert sold 2 million copies. So Holly, you played a bit of it. How many hours do you reckon you've got into the game?
About 4, maybe.
Okay, that's it. Well, according to this game, that is probably like 2 minutes in most games, because based on the size and the breadth, and especially the length of what the tutorial is apparently supposed to be 8 hours. You play for about 8 hours and you're still like going through tutorial. But you're halfway through the tutorial. It sold 200 million copies, sitting at a 78 on Metacritic. And I'll just add that there's no PS5 and no Xbox reviews at all. There's 102 PC reviews, sitting at a 78. That is seemingly going down slowly over time. So there's a lot of back and forth about, you know, is this game good? Does its virtues exceed its negatives? So how are you feeling about it, Holly, so far?
So I was not super excited for this game before it came. I was kind of a little more cautious. So I'm not surprised to see what's happening. I was hoping that it was going to be higher, but I think I watched a lot of reviews and I watched a lot of previews for this game before it came out. So, first of all, maybe you missed it, but one of the biggest things that happened is, for some reason, Xbox has not had pre-orders on games on their store for I don't know how long. The last few games I've tried to pre-order have just not been there until like the day of launch. Like I went Monday, and I've gone other days before that too, looking to pre-order Crimson Desert, and it was on Steam, it was on Epic, it was on something else, Loaded or something for PlayStation, I don't know, but it was not on Xbox to pre-order, and I don't know why. So, because I decided I was going to do it Play Anywhere so that I could run it on my Series X and also on my PC. And so I bought it. I finally came out on the mobile app in the morning. So I bought it on the mobile app. And then after it launched, like the official launch time was like 5 p.m. for me yesterday. Colt sent me a party invite. He's like, have you played it? Because he's like, I'm trying to get in. I can't get in. And I saw a bunch of his tweets. And so I downloaded it then while I was in the party chat with him. And I hit play on PC, hit play. And the full screen would pop up. And then like the smaller loading screen like title screen would pop up, and then the game would just force close and it would say play again. And it would never turn over. It would never actually open the game. So he and I both wound up just going into the Microsoft store and requesting a refund and going and buying it on Steam. So I actually found a code for $10 off for Steam. So it's unfortunate because I wanted to buy it on Xbox, but it wasn't working. And I saw Kid Smooth and a whole bunch of other people putting up tweets about how they bought the game and it wouldn't play. It would launch on the Series X, but it wouldn't launch on PC. So that was a huge flub for them. But after I got it on Steam and got into it, the thing that I had heard was my biggest fear, and it is the greatest weakness with this game, and it's the controls. They are heinously bad. I'm playing on controller. I don't know that it's that much better on mouse and keyboard, actually, just because there's still like multiple buttons that you have to press at the same time, which for PC is kind of rare. But the controller scheme is atrocious. It's so bad. If you want to talk to somebody, you look at them and you have to hold left bumper down and hit another button to interact with them instead of just walking up and hitting it, just a simple interact button. And way more often than not, I wind up jumping because that's on the interact button. And if you're not like exactly at the right place, you just hop and you're like, seriously? Like, and so like, those are little like, and I'm not even through, like you said, right? Like I'm probably not even through like the actual true tutorial. So the amount of button prompts I found so far are somewhat small, but super awkward. There's an attack that you learn in the first like 5 minutes of the game. I kid you not. The attack is a right bumper and a right trigger at the same time. So you have to take your hand off the controller to turn it far enough to hit the right bumper and the right trigger at the same time in the middle of a fight. Like, worst button combination I've ever seen ever in a game. And that's that's the first combo that you learn. So I can only imagine what's going to happen later. And to that point, I do see tons and tons of people have been returning it because the mouse and keyboard has obviously, because there's so many buttons on a keyboard, right? There is the ability to change your bindings on the keyboard. There's no option to change the bindings on your controller. And I think it's just because there's so many combos that will come at you that if you change one button, you're going to screw up 30 other optional, like other things that you have to get to at some point. So there's no way to change the key bindings. And I know some people are saying, well, I'm going to wait for a patch for them to bring that to controller. And honestly, I really don't think that's coming just because of the amount of button like prompts there are. I just don't think
so. The developer said, so they responded to someone on Twitter and it said, after 4 hours, it's a really good game in my opinion. It just needs simplified controls. That's all I think. And then the Will Powers, one of the developers or head developers, said, think of it like riding a bike. It comes naturally after you learn it. It just takes a minute.
As a community manager, he's not handled the community side of stuff super great since they started. And by the way, I just let you know that Colt was about 20-30 minutes ahead of me in the game, and I had already completed like 30 more animals in my compendium than he had already in my first 5 minutes. So I'm better at the game than him. But just saying. Anyway, there's cooking. So what I will say, so that's the negatives, right? But the positives, there's cooking in the game. And it's really cool because it's like Zelda, where you would put stuff in the pan and then he sits and he fries it or whatever, and then it pops up with a picture of the food in the pan. And there's improvising cooking, so you can throw stuff in. There's a lot of things that the game like kind of sort of tells you, but it doesn't tell you how to actually really do it. So there's a lot of trial and error, or just like you really have to pay attention when you pick something up. For example, one of the first people gives you a recipe and the ingredients to cook the recipe, but she wants you to cook the recipe yourself. So it's like a teaching thing, right? So you go over to the cook station, but the recipe isn't in the cook station. You have to read the recipe and memorize what you have to put in it in the quantities that you do. Then go back to the cook station, put those in the right quantity so that it like learns that recipe. It's not just there because you have the piece of paper, and then you still have the piece of paper in your inventory. So then you got to go get rid of that. But that's just one of the, but they don't tell you any of that stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff, I think, like that, where, you know, like you just have to pay attention and kind of figure out some of those things on your own. But I got to say, when we were playing last night, it was just like, I was cautiously optimistic, but like I find myself like being really intrigued, like, oh, what's over there? What's over there? There are 2,958 things to learn in this compendium for this game, which is insane, right? You're walking along and it'll be like question mark catch. So you like catch something and it'll put a bug in your pocket and like tell you what it is and stuff like that. And they all have different uses. So it's super cool. The exploration, I've just been doing more exploration than many of the actual like quests yet. And of course I'm still in the basic quests that are teaching you things, but I've really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to playing more of it. And I am going to fight through. I know I saw a lot of people saying, like, forget it, I'm just going to wait until they patch the controls. It's too much. Or a lot of people have returned it. But I don't feel that frustrated with the controls yet. I did see IGN say that the boss fights actually super suck and are not enjoyable at all. But I haven't had a boss fight yet, so I can't really say. That's just what IGN said. So take that how you will.
Yeah, so IGN gave it a 6. And then
so far.
I
They're not done with it.
So far, yeah. But also when they gave it a 6, the stock price went down for Pearl Abyss like drastically.
Mm-hmm. Like 20%.
It took an absolute dive. From everything that you're saying to me is this is a gamer's game, you know, I like a real gamer's game. Like it's not full story. Like apparently the story's like I've heard the story is good and I've heard the story is terrible. I haven't heard the story is like amazing and it's great, and I don't feel like that's been its focus. Shout out to Legacy Kodiak Gamers for the footage. For me, I think that Monad's right. You're absolutely right. It's gonna be one of those games that I'm just never gonna be able to finish. You know, due to the complication is I may these days the way that I play is I may have a couple of days where I don't play. And it feels like a game that you need to be constantly playing. That muscle memory is going, you know, learning, understanding, and sort of getting your moves. Stop coming onto the screen, dude. Getting your learnings, understanding. I'm not saying that I'm not a gamer. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But like, it just feels like a game that is for people who have just a surplus of spare time. And I don't. But also for context, with talking about how IGN gave it a 6, they have given a lot of games that I would say are like barely worthy of a 6. You know, scores like 7. I find IGN's scoring of games, reviews of games, to be very inconsistent. You know, like the guys over at God, what's the name of Xbox era again?
Day one.
which I'm glad to see is actually getting a little bit more of a bump in viewership just due to the name change. So shout out to them, good work. I think it was probably the right decision, but they're consistent, right? They're consistently positive about their reviews. Like generally, it's if you get a bad review, that's the good thing about day one. If you get a bad review from day one, I think that you've really messed up your game, right? So no one's played it on Xbox yet. And in the background, I've been looking.
Good. It's not good. Like, but neither is base PS5 either. They're both running ragged.
Right. So that's a little bit disappointing to hear. And based on the footage that I'm sort of looking at here, and I'll bring that across now, it's not looking fantastic. I'll just add it to scene. Apologies. Yeah, it's not looking like it's living up to the standard, right? I mean, that looks pretty rough. And that is at 1080p, so yeah, at 1080p 60. So yeah, that's disappointing because that's probably where I'm going to buy the game. And then you're also saying it's not running on the Windows Store. It is cross progression though, right? So I could play it on Xbox and then jump on Steam, and I would be at the same. It
is. It's Play Anywhere. It's probably running on PC today. I would assume it's running on PC today, but last night it was definitely not. So we just went ahead and switched.
I mean, this does not look fantastic. This looks like
there's a pretty good comparison of the base PS5 footage with a PC, and you could see the assets that are left out. It's in our topics chat. It's the gaming. It's the Gameverse. It's three articles up, or the third one up.
Okay, I'll bring that in.
And it's more about like the assets. I don't know if it runs fine as far as like, choppiness and stuff like that. Just the art between the two is definitely noticeable. And like I said, the lack of assets on the base console versus PC.
So this is the base console. Are you talking about the PC versus base PS5?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I have actually seen that one. And it's not great, right? It's the console players get sort of screwed over again, I feel. It feels like a very cyberpunkish.
So yeah, here you see the base PS5 footage from this.
I feel like you get a well, I mean, you said it's not that bad. Is that what you're saying? Like, I don't think that's great. You look at the difference in clarity there.
Well, look at the clarity in the rocks, for example, there, right on the PS5 versus the PC. And then here you can really see the difference in, like, when they do the grass, you can really see the difference in, like, the rocks and the amount of trees and stuff that's on.
I mean, that's terrible.
There, right? There you can see a huge difference. Bob Steve says, I got my copy on the Xbox PC app running. Oh, yeah, after hitting play like 5 times. I tried many times. It was last night, right? It was about, I don't know, it was like 7 p.m. Central when I tried. So, yeah.
There's not even grass in that area. Like they've just flat out removed a lot of the assets.
Mm-hmm.
That's
they have. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're at the time where it is time to sort of move on in tech. It's time for the new consoles and all that sort of stuff. But generally, what you see is developers making better use of the consoles and the tech at the end of the generation. It doesn't seem like that has happened. What are you doing? It doesn't seem like that has happened for this generation. It's been a bit of a rocky gen, in my view.
Yeah, yeah, it has been. In a bunch of ways.
Yeah. Well, look, mixed reviews. Wait and see. Who knows how this will go? I do want to jump into our next topic, unless you want to round up something from Crimson or add anything.
No. I guess the only other thing was that people, I heard from multiple reviewers, including Jesse from day one, that the boss fights are long and very hard and not fun at all. Like, you know, whatever. I don't think this game is necessarily like Elden Ring was very much about like go find a dungeon, do the boss, and then rinse and repeat, right? And it's a different type of boss, different type of fight, whatever. But this game is not necessarily meant to be that. And it's really more about the world and the exploration. And yeah, there's a story there too. And you'll run into these bosses, and I'm sure there'll be, you know, side bosses and stuff like that. Because I think there's like 78 bosses, 75, 78. But the game is so big that I think you, for the most part, can just kind of go figure out and go do things that you want to do, you know?
Yeah, which is why I'm still definitely gonna buy it, because I think, look, why not? Like I can play a little bit, do what I want, and then when I'm done with the game, I can, yeah, then I can sort of move on to Starfield again. Sorry. Starfield again. Apparently there's a huge update coming. For the launch of PS5. And they sat down and did a deep dive, and I haven't had a chance to watch this yet and haven't gleaned a lot of information. But I mean, that looks much better on the console, I must say. And DLSS 5 is one of the is obviously going to be doing some work with this. So I'm actually pretty and I think it did a better job on Starfield, the DLSS 5, than it did on anything else. And this from what I have heard about this update, seems exciting. You can actually fly around the solar system or the Starfield, and actually you're making distance. Like it's more of a real world, real distance type thing, right? And then you can then land. I don't think we can land on the planets by flying in, touching down. But I think this looks like a pretty meaningful update. It's a free update, and there's a whole new paid for story expansion. Looks pretty good to me. I'm actually thinking about I might jump back in. Also, the other thing was New Game Plus is you couldn't bring across a lot of the skills or things that you had to the New Game Plus, and you'll be able to do that now. So I might jump back in for this expansion into New Game Plus and run one of those, because I didn't. I did the first like jumping in, but I didn't like play through. I was like, yeah, no, I very much do what I normally do with these games, that I sort of finish up, and you know, once I'm done, I'm done. But this, yeah, looks pretty good, right? Like, I mean, they're still very uncanny valley faces, I must say. But maybe I'll wait for the DLSS 5 and play it in AI and then stream that just to really upset some people. But also, something else that's happening with this game is this is like one of the, I think it's like in the top 3 of the pre-orders for PlayStation 5. So does that mean they want this game now? Is that what's happening? We got told this game was trash. It was horrible. It was ridiculous. It was, and then boom, top 3 pre-orders. Excited for this one, Holly?
Here's my thing. I played 300 hours of Starfield when it first came out. I played it all the time. I never made it through the Unity once because there was that whole back and forth about do all the side stuff first. No, don't. Do it later. Do it first. Do it later. And like I didn't know what to do, so I just said I'm going to do what I always do and do all the side stuff before I do the end game stuff. And I think I did all the factions, and I was doing a lot of other stuff. And then, you know, 200-300 hours later, some other game came out, and I kind of got diverted away. It's probably Call of Duty, to be honest, because that was about that time frame. And so I never went through the Unity. I never have. I played...
Oh, really?
No. And I enjoyed my time in Starfield. I think I would enjoy it much more now because I think a lot of the problems I had with it were quality of life issues that I think they've kind of sort of cleared up with a lot of the updates that they've had over time, right? Over like the last 2 years or so. So I would love to, and I'm also a person who, if I tried to go back and just pick up where I left off, I have no idea what's going on. I would have to start over. And to start over with another 200 or 300 hours in, plus the new content, I don't know when I would do that, right? I would like to do it, but I don't know when I would do that. So it's one of those things where I would really like to do this. I just don't know. Like, maybe it becomes one of those things where you're like, okay, every Tuesday or whatever, right? Like, I'll play Starfield, whatever happens, I'll play it and I'll do that. And then, the rest of the week I'll go play this new game or that new game or whatever it is. But it seems cool. I think this is supposed to be their biggest expansion. Although I thought they said it was smaller than Shattered Space, but it has to be a bigger expansion. And they've done some cool stuff, right? Like, you can just travel world to world by flying, and they made it so that all of your spaceport bases or your all the bases that you build on the different planets are finally all just connected, which is a huge improvement, because sometimes who remembers where you put X, Y, or Z, right? And flying around to go find that stuff would be nuts. And I heard that the inventory space, the inventory management, which drove me nuts in this game more than any other Bethesda game ever, I heard that kind of got cleared up a while ago that became a non-issue. So, like, if I had all of that, I feel like I could play through it faster and it would just be a much more enjoyable experience. They added a bunch of I think they added a bunch more sky encounters or space encounters, those battles and stuff that you can get into. I think that's either coming or part of this update. And there's a house, like, for the people who have, millions of credits in their bank accounts. I think they added a new location where you could buy a new house. So seems like there's some really cool stuff with this. I think it's a nice update for people that enjoy Starfield and, want to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I enjoyed the game as a whole. And I played all the factions. I definitely didn't do all the side. I did do all the factions. And if that's all the side content, then I did that, and then I ended up going through the ether or whatever the hell it was. So I did finish it, but I was done. But this one's going to probably bring me back, I think. And like, when a lot of people talk about it, I don't say a whole lot. Like, it wasn't the great. There was so many like minor issues, like the inventory and all that sort of stuff. Then that I and just the shooting was a bit jank, but it was better than normal. It was pretty good. Like, it was still a little. It had the Bethesda jank. There was issues with shipbuilding. It just made it sort of a bit complicated, and I was annoyed. I get annoyed and I give up on it. But if they've made all these quality of life sort of adjustments, and they've given it a significant update, I'm pretty keen to jump back in and to see what it's like. But like I said at the start, at the beginning of the show, I can't make Holly any louder, unfortunately. I have tried. Yeah, I think I'll jump back. I just don't have enough. I just probably don't have enough time. So this is going to be something I especially would love to boot up with a new PC and see how it's looking, right? And when I played it, it was we didn't have it at 60. We had it at 30. So I played through the whole thing at 30. Didn't play it after the 60 update. So it'd be really interesting to see if that jank is alleviated by the 60. Looks like you've got a whole bunch of new shipbuilding stuff as well. So yeah, look, I'm super interested. I'm going to sit down and watch this and see like if it's going to bring me back in. But from what I'm hearing, it seems like you bring my volume down 20%. I can do that for you, Cole. Yeah, there you go. then yeah, I'll jump back in and see what it's like, and maybe play it.
Fuzzy Tomato says it looks so much better on PC. That would be interesting because I didn't have my gaming PC when Starfield was out, so that would be cool to check that out. Like you said, with the new 6, well, I am one of the very rare lemmings in the wild that prefers quality over performance, so I like the 30 FPS 4K.
What the fuck?
I do. I know. I'm a weirdo. So it would be nice though to see what it looks like on PC. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, it looks stunning on screen here. Looks absolutely beautiful, and I do want to see the. I probably will wait for the DLSS, the DLSS. Thanks, Golf. I'm a bit of an audiophile. I do like to get things right, but I do want to see it with the DLSS 5. Like, if that tidies up the faces the way it looks like, I just think it'll be a whole different thing. I do have a 5090, so I'll be able to enable it. But I might just download it and boot it up and see what it runs like on the X as well to see the difference when I do that. But I still got to get through Cyberpunk. I wonder if there's a mod where I could just like have the game autoplay itself all the way through. I'll see. I've got to get through this game. And why did you pick like the biggest game on the planet to ever finish?
Greatness comes in all sizes. This one just happens to be large.
Well, you can. That's a good thing to hear from a lady. We won't dive too much into that. But hopefully, look, as well, that PC is not too far out. I'm talking like mid-April, end of April that I'll have it built. So I should be up and running. I don't have a screen that runs over 60 just yet, so that'll be the next purchase. But I'll still be able to play at 4K, 60, whatever I'm playing, with whatever sort of path tracing. So I'm super hyped. Maybe I'll boot it up and see how that goes. That's about it. We didn't have a whole lot of topics this week, just because the DLSS thing sort of absolutely took over the gaming scene this week, and unfortunately Donte wasn't able to make it this week either. I'm hoping that he'll be back next week. Not super sure, but I'll try to reach out and see what's going down over there. But Holly, why don't you let the people know where they can find you and what the stuff with the things and stuff?
I am ThatBlueNumber. I am Legion. You can find me if you just click on my name, and that's my channel, and that's pretty much it. I gotta burn through these play tests that I've got this weekend and give them the feedback, and play Toxic Commandos and play Arc Raiders and play Crimson Desert and do many other things not gaming too. So anyway, have a great weekend, chat. Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. And much love to Donte if he listens to this later. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes. Yeah, hoping to have you come back soon. And yeah, everyone in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for the support you provide us every other week. I'm not 110% sure on we normally skip a week and come back. But I may be able to go live on the following week. I'm not sure. I've got a trip planned, as I said. So and yeah, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming through. And we will hit the like button. Thanks, Colt. And we'll see you all next week's and stuff. I'll fix my